All right, Shalawam, Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to elect out there doing his work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. All right, just on my spirit real quick, while on the way home, just thinking about, all that's been going on, with, Apostle Tahar, doing the video in reference to General Yohana, and talking about pretty much, Jake's over there in West Africa. And, just for the simple fact of, that these are, some real simple things that we have to constantly go over, to show Jake and to show those other guys, that call themselves leaders, that you have Israelites scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. That just shows that it don't matter how long you've been in this truth, that don't necessarily make you spiritual, because that's obviously what General Yohana is displaying, that he's not spiritual, and that the men underneath him are not spiritual. Okay? They looking at things from a carnal standpoint. If it was left up to guys like that, we would never get out of Babylon, man. We would never see our salvation from YAHAWASHI, man, if it was left up to them. Basically they're putting things in the mind frame of, if you're not here in North America, if you're not here in Babylon, it's pretty much, they pretty much consider you not to be a Jake if you're from a foreign country, man. Like Africa or China or somewhere like that, or Thailand. What else could the scriptures be giving reference to in the book of Revelations when it's talking about the great multitude out of all the nations, man? What could that be giving reference to? If all the so-called Negroes were just here in North America, if all the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans was just here in North America, what would that be giving reference to? Would that be giving reference to other nations being saved? Okay? What would that be giving reference to, man? When you see these things from the spiritual eye, and also once it gets into, in Matthew's, I believe, the 13th chapter about the tares and the wheat, and how it's going to be the angel's job, to separate, because you're going to have some people, that are of the other nations, that are actually other nations trying to weasel their way in, towards this salvation. But it's not for them, man, But YAHAWASHI also is going to have men that are literally of those other nations that are actually Israelites, man. And the scriptures say that the spirit bear witness with our spirit that we are the Most High. Okay? So if, brother spirits that are of the other nations gravitate towards being an Israelite, you can't shut that down. You're just supposed to be a spiritual man and read it through the spirit to see if you can see if they're an Israelite or not, man. And majority of times you can't tell, okay? And that comes with that spiritual discernment, And, when we used to camp in our old spot, even at this Chinese, we had a Chinese Mexican store right around from the old spot where we used to camp at. And you had this chick in there that was working in there, and she was a so-called Moabite. But when you read her spirit and you hear how she talking and you see how she moved, you could tell that she was an Israelite. And on top of that, she looked straight like an Ephraimite, man. But you wouldn't expect that out of, out of another nation, man. And especially, considering Moab, man. And that's exactly where it is dealing with brothers that are of West Africa. And, I was getting into is various brothers, within the different camps, that are that their lineage goes back to West Africa, or their parents have been from West Africa, or they might have been born in West Africa themselves, man. So you can't deny that, man. And the history, the secular history speaks on it itself. When it's talk about, get into what the Igbo tribe, everybody knows about the Igbo tribe, or should know about the Igbo tribe. You got the Limba tribe, which is primarily of South Africa. They have some up, northern, western parts of Africa too, but mainly down there in South Africa, okay? You got a tribe called the Bambaras that are known to be Negroes, okay? It's various tribes out there, man. And throughout the history, it constantly proves that, man. You got the Ashanti, which I've did lessons on that before, which is primarily of the tribe of Benjamin. You know, when you scope them out through the spirit and do the research, man, you know. And you also got Toussaint L'Ouverture. Now, when you look up the history on Toussaint L'Ouverture, his fathers and his lineage, they go back to West Africa from a tribe called the Arada tribe, you know, from a tribe called the Arada tribe. And when you look up the word Arada itself, is actually a Hebrew word, okay? Which when you look it up, you know, because I looked it up before on BabylonTranslation.com, and when it translated, it said to rule over, to tyrannize, to subjugate, okay? And when it gets into the root of the Hebrew word, Arada is radard, which means to spread or to cast beneath, man. Because when you look at it through the spirit, the Arada tribe, there was a warrior tribe. So transferring that same energy over, you know, to Toussaint L'Ouverture, him being of the Arada tribe, him ruling over, tyrannizing, and subjugate his enemies. That's what the Lord had set him up to do, man. Which goes to show through the spirit, you know, that he's an Israelite, man. Through those different type of references. And you have plenty of references throughout the history. You even got the movie Shaka Zulu, you know, I believe around like 38 minutes into it. I believe it's like part 4, like when you're looking at him on YouTube, you know, and he said, and the Edomite said with the glasses, the doctor said, if you ask me, these are the wandering Jews of Africa, man. The wandering Jews, yeah, of Africa, okay? Fleeing from the Pharaoh Shaka, you know, fleeing from the Babylonian captivity, you know. That's what he said. That was his exact words, you know, or roughly paraphrasing his words of what he said, man. So why are they giving reference, you know, to Israelites being over there in Africa, man? We all know the history of what happened during 70 AD. We all know the history on that, man. So why is it so hard to believe that you still have some Israelites over there, you know, in various parts of Africa, even over there in East Africa, man, all over, man. The Lord said that we are as the sands of the sea. And Jeremiah 12:9 says, what, my heritage is as a speckled bird, man. Okay? So we're going to come out different shades of brown, man, you know, variegated, okay? And also, when you look up, you know, the map, I believe it's during the I believe it's the year 1747. I could be mistaken on that, but I believe it was the 1700s. When you look at that map, the way Esau drew it up, a big portion of that land over there in West Africa was known as Negro land, man. Why would they call it Negro land? Because they knew the people that was over there were Israelites, man. Also, you had the slave coast over there. You know, you had the Gold Coast, the Ivory Coast. You had the famous YAHAWAH market, which was spelled WHYDAH. And when you translate that name over, it gets into the word Judah, man. But Esau spells it different ways. They spell it that way, and they spell it another way. But it was called the famous YAHAWAH market, otherwise known as Judah market. And that was a slave market over there, man. You know? So it's just, you know, it's just ridiculous that we got to go over, you know, these baby topics, you know, this milk, you know, for men that have been in this truth, you know, X amount of years, like General Yohana and the men under him and other men out there, you know, guys that only believe, you know, that Israelites are of the southern tribe, man, the southern tribe, the southern kingdom, you know, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, man. It's a shame we got to constantly go over these things. But the Lord, YAHAWASHI, has us constantly going over these things for those of the hopeful elect and for those that are scattered abroad, man. Okay? Seeking for something in their life, seeking for salvation, but not knowing, but knowing within their spirit that something is missing. And when they come across, you know, this thing of ours of being an Israelite, and it sits right with their spirit. That's why the Lord is doing this, man. So it's actually good at the same time, you know, when stuff like this come out, because we get to edify those of the hopeful elect. And that's the sooner we get up out of here, you know, when brothers and sisters are waking up throughout the four corners of the globe, man, you know. So, hey, you know, just seeing what's been going on inspired me a little bit, you know. And, you know, Lord willing, you know, I'm going to get more in depth, you know what I'm saying, with a lesson, you know, concerning, you know, those West African tribes. You know, I was doing it before, you know, but just everything now just inspired me to want to get back into it. And I still got some information, you know, that I could bring out, and Lord willing to be edifying, you know, for brothers that's out there, you know. So, you know, I just hope this quick segment was edifying, you know, and I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalawam to the elect out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. Shalawam.